Hey, good morning everybody, and back on the build. Today we're going to build this base for the seat. It's one piece formed and then a couple of pieces welded on the front here to cover up the tank attach, which will all be under the upholstery. This comes off. As you can see, we've got a couple of rubber supports. There'll be two more that go back here. However, I want to wait till I know where I'm going to put equipment before I bolt them down. But that's not a big deal. We can work around that, no problem. So, oh yeah, I have to build a latch for it yet, but that'll all come in the next few days. But this is today's video is on building this this piece for the seat. So if you're interested, stick around. Once again, onto the arts and crafts here. I'm making up a little bit of a paper template so that I can get some metal structure for the base of the seat. Now that our pan is complete, this will be our nice straight line of the leather, or not leather, but vinyl upholstery. Will start here and go over top to make the seat and the hump. And then this will be metal, and I don't know whether I'll cover it with fabric or what I'm going to do with it yet, but we'll see as it grows. We'll make it look appropriate. I've got to make some more pieces of paper template for up here to cover up the attach point of the tank. A little hump there into the saddle of the seat, and then the rear hump. Paper, arts and crafts, templates. I could just go along here and weld it along this seam all the way around here, cut separate pieces, weld everything together, weld this little flange on here. But I'm going to try to form this all in one piece. Now the next step in this process is pretty simple. This is our paper template that you saw a picture of earlier, had our little sides on it, where we're going to fold the edges over to make the seat base. So this is our paper template, and it's on our piece of 3/4 inch MDF, and we're going to use the 3/4 inch MDF as a press block. We're going to make two pieces of MDF to sandwich our metal between, and then we'll bend around the edges to form our part. And you'll see how that whole process goes. Okay, in from the dark side, and there's my two pieces of MDF cut out for my press form, like that. I'll go back over to the dark side, tape this template down, use my marks that I've marked out where I want to drill my bolt holes to squeeze the two pieces together so I can tap the edge over on the bottom of the seat. So hang around, let's keep going. This is working out pretty good. There we go. Kind of looks like something straight out of Star Trek, but that's the basic cutout from the dark side of the seat. Now I'll finish dressing it off, and we'll bolt it in between our blocks, and then we can start forming it, and we'll get on with that. Here we go, all bolted up in the form blocks. I just left the template on here so you kind of get the idea. You make the template, make your blocks. I shaped the edge of the block, this block, where it rolls this way. The edge is shaped round it just a bit. I want a small radius, but I don't want a big radius. But you can't bend a total tight 90, otherwise it won't, you just can't do it. You need a bit of radius. So that's the form block. That's how we're going to form this piece into the pan, or not the pan, the pan's under there, the base for our seat. And then there's lots more to do to it yet, but that's where we're going to go from. This is the side I hammer from. Form this way, but this lip at the back comes up this way, which is, it's not the back actually, I'll turn around the way it goes. Form this down, this comes up, this radius here fits around the back, this piece that comes up sits against here, and then of course we'll build a weld on piece here to finish that. And then of course we have to make a latch to pick it up and blah blah blah. Have to make our piece behind the seat. But anyways, that's what we've got so far. I'm going to start the forming process at this point, and I'm going to move along and around the end and then probably go this way as well. Remember, we have to give it some nice firm blows to get it to bend along our edge. We don't want to warble this all to crap, but we've got to work it along slowly. Soft hammer. This is rubber side, this is nylon side. Don't want to use a steel hammer and put steel depressions in it. However, I'll form it along there as best I can, and I may have to use the air hammer and drive it, but I don't know how good these blocks will deal with the air hammer. I've never done it. I've done steel blocks and air hammer, but anyways, let's just give it a try, see what we get. Now this portion of it has to be quite vertical, and as we come here, this sticks out just like this a little bit. Not this much, but a little bit more, not straight up and down. There, that's not quite 90, and we can manipulate it once we get this main part formed. Then once we open it up, we can manipulate it some more. Now, as you can imagine, as this bends over, it's got to shrink a little bit, quite a bit. It's got to shrink as it goes in. So we're going to have to work this and get these bumps out. Might have to resort to a harder face hammer to do that, but we'll just keep working at it, see what we can do. This piece essentially becomes a little bit of a skirt under the base of the seat. Once I get this all upholstered, this is a bit of a skirt that sits in the shape that we have to cover up there. Now, possibly a slapper, you know, a long flat bar that's kind of curved. It's called a slapper. I don't have one. A slapper might do a better forming here, but this is actually formed very nicely with the soft face hammer. So this here is going to take some work, but I think we're doing okay. Like I said, once we get this formed really well, a little re-education on a few places around it once we get it out of the blocks, but I think she'll conform. I haven't been at this very long. Okay, let's go to a harder hammer for this. Try that out. Now I had the MDF fail a bit here where this pressed into it, here and here. Here it's holding up really well. Here it's pressed into it a little bit. Probably should have clamped this across here while I did this section. I don't think doing that now is going to help anything. Once I get this beat as much as it'll take, then I'll take it off of here, put it on my round piece of steel and finish tapping it, see what we get out of it. But okay, so we've got a crude shape there that we can work with. Now I can take it out of the form blocks and go to the next step. Okay, so there's the roughed out piece. I'll pull out take it off the form block. So there's the formed piece for the base of the seat. This has to be worked more yet for this corner. We've got a nice strong edge here. When I build the seat to sit on, this won't flex or bend or do anything weird. And then I can get into shaping this, build the hump behind the seat, and then upholstery. So that's how we get that far. Now we just have to make it look prettier around here. And some of you may remember this piece of steel from our other forming of our rear piece, if you've watched that video. If not, have a look at that. Now I can use this piece of steel, clamp this together somehow, I'll look at that, and then shape this tighter to the steel. It'll form it much better than the MDF. That's pretty nice. There we go. There, that's where it needs to be, right there. Now a little more trimming. I can feel it's touching a couple of spots. We can just shape it a little bit. Now I can work in this area in here. I'll build a piece that doesn't sit on the tank. Actually, when I put the rubber back in here, I'm going to make it sit on the rubber, so we have space for upholstery to go around it, so that there's a nice smooth transition to the seat foam. The seat will do this. It will kick up at the back here. I'll have a bit of a hump behind the seat, but now we have a base to work with on the seat. I made it a little thicker so that it can take the pressure. What we're going to do on these two spots, I'm going to have rubber pads so that when you sit on the seat, it won't want to bend. And then in the back here, I have to put a couple of standoffs, if you will, that will support the back. So it'll be supported in a few spots, but then we'll have room for everything underneath. And I'm real happy with the way that is coming out, because now I've got something to work with. And then I have to make a latch on that so we can get under there to work on things. Yep, little tweaking, little fine tuning. Well, there we go. The seat base is pretty much ready to go. What I need to do is establish exactly where it's going to sit, so I can trim. I need to go along here and trim this within about 1/8 of an inch, 3/16 of an inch, all the way along here. Some spots is okay, but other spots are touching a little bit. Need to trim it so that when the seat's established in position, I don't want the seat rubbing as I ride along and wearing all the paint off and screwing everything up. So I bought these spacers with a threaded piece in them, rubber spacers. I've got 4 of them, and I'm going to put those one here and one here, and I'll make 2 more locations here and here to put 2 more on. You get my point. Those are going to sit underneath there. Once that is established where that's going to sit permanently, then I can go and finish the trim on that seat bottom. Just fabricating some pieces for the front of the seat that covers up the attach point, and then I'll put the bracket underneath that keeps the seat from moving anywhere here, and then a latch to hold it down. But tack a few little pieces in place, and then I can do some welding. All right, it's got that little piece tacked in. Now I'll finish welding that up, and then make the piece that goes underneath, that hooks underneath the tank attach piece. This now sits in here like this. Once it's upholstered, I've got a little room around there for upholstery. Got a trim, weld, but it's coming along real nice. Well, 3 days later, we have our finished piece. From a couple of form blocks, actually from a paper template that we made up that had a couple of the side pieces taped on the template originally. Then we used that template to make a couple of form blocks. There's 2 of them here. We sandwiched our metal between the form blocks, bent our sides, bent our pieces, made up a couple of small pieces, welded them onto the base, and now we have our finished base for our seat. A couple more of these rubber standoffs right here. This is basically where I sit right here, so there'll be 4 right underneath my seating area. And then a latch to hold it down. The next video will probably be just upholstery. So I've got to get out some upholstery supplies. I've got, probably in the last episode you've seen, I'm a skydiver and a rigger as well, so I have big sewing machines for sewing harness and fabric and stuff. So I'm going to do the upholstery myself. I just need to get some supplies to do that, and we'll stitch up a nice seat for it, and I think it'll turn out pretty good. So thanks very much for hanging out with me again, and let's keep going on the project.